lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
The first tame race of the season. We come to a track that's not so tame here for round number 5 for the TNT Truck Series presented by the United Sim Racing Association. We are here tonight at the Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway for round number 5 of this season. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for being a part of the show here tonight. My name is Frank Marchese. Alongside me in the booth tonight is going to be Tony Trapasso, as always. Tony, this is a very unique, very difficult track to get around. It's going to be fun watching these guys try to work this racetrack tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of those tracks that it's kind of like if Bristol or Dover and Martinsville, if they had a bastard child, you would get Worldwide Tech Raceway. You've got the banking in turns 1 and 2, and then you've got the relatively flat 3 and 4. It's a very difficult track to get around. You can't really set the truck up to get around all the corners successfully in one go. You kind of have to do a little give and take with your setups here, and it's really going to put this track into the driver's hands. Those who know how to maintain their tires, as we've been preaching all season long, those who know how to do the give and take thing early are really going to pay dividends at the end of this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see the 11 of Daniel Dill getting into the back of the 15 of Chandler Summers, and we're going to see that all night long here tonight. This race is going to be very, very akin to the race we saw 2 weeks ago at the Milwaukee Mile. Flat corners. It would be fair to say that the drivers that were good at Milwaukee 2 weeks ago are going to find success here.
Well, they're definitely going to have a leg up on the rest of the field because you drive 3 and 4 very similarly to how you do or how you did drive Milwaukee, where it's a later apex than most of these guys are going to be used to. But the guys that can get through 1 and 2 successfully are also going to have a major advantage because you have to carry so much speed going into turn 3 that you really make your lap off of turn 2.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see these guys starting to work their way through turn 2. And speaking of Milwaukee, coming back this week is the winner from Milwaukee 2 weeks ago. That is Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones serving a 1-race suspension last week. He will not be allowed to use a drop week for that week after what happened on the final lap going into turn 3 at Milwaukee that got him the race win. So he's coming into a very familiar situation. Again, a track being kind of like Milwaukee. Would think he's going to look to do something a little bit different here this week after what happened in round 3.
He's real lucky that the administration for the league didn't take the win away from him. And that's something we discussed last week that yes, it was the last lap. Yes, all bets are off, but you don't go into the braking zone on any track 30 miles an hour differently than anyone else has all race long and expect not to have repercussions at the end of it.
He certainly did have repercussions, not just missing the race last week at Homestead Miami Speedway, but also in the point standings, as we will take a look at those right now. As the new championship leader after a third-place finish, Evan Pienta, and he has quite a nice lead over Scott Tompkins right now. 262 points for Pienta, 251, and with the win last week, Randy Bechtel now jumps up into a tie for that second place. We're still seeing a lot of guys really, really close here, thanks to it being so early in the season still.
Yeah, absolutely. But the two guys to keep an eye on right now, Pienta currently sitting 12th quick. Bechtel currently sitting 10th quick in the hot lap sessions. And those are getting ready to wind on down. And we're going to turn them loose for 2 laps qualifying. But the guy right now at the top of the board, Chase Berry, and don't look now, but Stephen Holmes has a really strong run going.
Yep, he absolutely does. That number 9 currently sitting in the second position in the practice session, and that is where he will finish as we get set to go into qualifying right now. As overlay being a little bit laggy here, I do apologize. Trying to
Chris
work
Smith coming out on track, Larry Poling out on track, Chase Berry starting to come out on track, Dale Elan Jr., Scott Stotler. So we've got some guys putting in some laps early here. You know, like I said, the biggest thing is the key to a good lap here is turn 2. If you can get off of 2 carrying some good speed, you've made your lap, because you can kind of float through 3 and 4. The biggest thing is getting the apex right coming through 1 and 2. And the other thing to keep in mind, there's a jut out in the middle of the back straightaway where the haulers have access to the infield. I have seen time and time again where a driver will not realize how close they're getting to where that wall kicks back in, and they just completely annihilate themselves. As Chris Smith goes initial P1. A couple other guys coming around. Ellis Thomas, Brandon Ayers, Chase Berry to the top of the pile. 34-2 for the opening lap for Berry. As Jeff Price lays down a 4th quick opening lap. Guy that was running up towards the front all last week, Jordan Smith, currently sitting 7th quick. As Chris Smith goes 2nd quick on his 2nd lap, so good lap for the Valvoline 81. Evan Pienta goes P3 on his 1st lap.
All right, unfortunately, I'm having some issues here. What we're going to have to do right now really quick is we're going to have to stop the broadcast. We'll try our best to be back here for the start of this race.
Well, with qualifying coming to an end, Ryan Jones setting quick time, 34.216. He's going to be joined on the front row with the 85 of Lee Norton. Row number 2 sees Chase Berry and Randy Bechtel. Row 3 goes to Eric Holly and Chris Smith. Jeff Pogo and Steve Holmes going to roll off in row number 4. Row 5 sees Jeff Price and Jordan Smith. Evan Pienta and Brandon Ayers going to roll off in row 6. Row 7 brings us Scott Thompson and Dan Dill. Chandler Summer and Justin Winters in row 8, with row 9 going to Ellis Thomas and Tommy Cannon. Scott Stotler and Anthony Reynolds roll off in row 12, with row 11 going to Dale Elan Jr. and Robert Dudley. Dustin Lamb and Larry Poling rolling off in row 12. Poling, the last one to actually put a time up in qualifying. Row 13 sees Cody Levitt and Zach Calloway, with Jared Hagedorn and Nick Lamb starting shotgun on the field in row 14. 28 drivers scheduled to roll off here tonight for 160 laps around this 1.25 mile, very egg-shaped oval here in St. Louis, Missouri, Madison, Missouri, wherever you want to refer to it as we are still waiting on the last couple of stragglers. Looks like the pace car is getting ready to roll off now. There it goes, and here we go for 160 laps here at Worldwide Technology Speedway, also known as Gateway. A couple interesting facts. There is a very nice truck stop right across the backstretch from here. At being as an over-the-road truck driver in my younger days, I did get to spend quite a few overnights at that truck stop, and it's very interesting trying to get some sleep while events are going on, because if you take a look at the outside of turn 1, that's where the drag strip is here. So Ryan Jones going to have the button as the field hauls its way through turns 3 and 4. And Frank, I believe we finally have picture back.
Yes, we do. About time we got picture back here. Do apologize, internet running a little haywire. But we got you back here just before the start of this thing as we get set to go, as Tony said, 160 laps from the Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. Ryan Jones brings them down with Lee Norton to his outside. Green flag is in the air. Round 5 set to begin for the USRA.
Jones pulls the trigger and he brings Chase Berry with him. Great start for Lee Norton on the high side. Going to be able to carry a little bit of speed. Slips up through the middle of 1 and 2. That's going to let Berry get to his inside. Everybody gets sorted out. A little bit of shuffling in the back there. That looked like the 24 of Jordan Smith. No, that was the 14. I'm sorry, of Jeff Price having a moment. As Smith looking to the inside of the 81 of Chris Smith as they haul it into 3.
So Ryan Jones and Lee Norton once again battling it out here to see who will lead that first lap. Coming across the line, it will be Lee Norton who gets credit for leading lap number 1. Ryan Jones sitting on the pole just the same way he did at the Milwaukee Mile, sitting on the pole here. Chase Berry in that number 1 sitting there in 3rd, and now he's going to look for 2nd as Lee Norton has a big moment coming off of turn 2.
Absolutely, that's going to let Berry get to his outside going through 3 and 4. That's Berry on the high side, Norton on the inside, as they are in lockstep right now for that number 2 slot. Meanwhile, Ryan Jones starting to pull away as big moment for Jeff Price coming off of turn number 4. He has to chase it down the hill, and we're under caution.
Yep, Dustin Lamb in the 10 sitting nose into the inside wall there coming out of turn number 4. Also seeing there were a couple of incidents around that lap. As we'll take a look and see what brought out the caution here. This is again Dustin Lamb. Scott Stotler in front of him in the 5. Blinking out a little bit was the 5, and just it looked like a little too much gas a little too early and gets stuck in that inside wall, which is why he was forced to tow.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way that safer barrier works. Relatively warm night here in the greater St. Louis Metroplex, just outside of Madison. 85-degree ambient air temperature, 87-degree track temperature, so not as hot as we've seen, but relatively warm. The biggest thing to keep an eye on, 14-mile-an-hour winds, crosswinds through turns 3 and 4. Yeah.
We're seeing it gusting now. It's up to 20 miles an hour, at least on our chart here, and it's continuing to go up. So that will certainly be a factor here in tonight's race as we're just before 9 p.m. In sim time. We had mentioned that there were a couple of other incidents that happened on that first lap. Take a look back. This is Larry Poling and Robert Dudley on the first lap. Poling getting a little loose coming out of turn 2. Robert Dudley, who had a great 4th place finish last week, caught up in that one. And that would have been the only other incident we saw with the 10 coming around. We saw in the background the 49 with some damage. That's where it came from. So right now we're sitting top 5. Ryan Jones, Chase Berry, Lee Norton, Randy Bechtel, and Jeff Price up here in the top 5 thus far. Only a couple of laps into this race. And for Ryan Jones, it's picking up right where he left off, really. Getting the pole at Milwaukee, very similar racetrack. He's back on the pole here again.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Robert Dudley, Larry Poling, Dustin Lamb all taking this caution to get some work done. Anthony Reynolds, Jared Hagedorn, Eric Holly, Dan Dill, Stephen Holmes, Cody Levitt, and Jeff Pogo all came down pit road to top the tanks off. Just in case we get an extended green flag run, they're going to have a little bit of an advantage as far as fuel mileage goes. And Frank, as we're looking through the field, seeing quite a few patriotic schemes as we are closing in on Independence Day up down here in the States. But happy Canada Day to all our friends from the Great White North.
There you go, and hopefully Canadiens can turn it around a little bit. I've been thoroughly displeased with how Montreal has played against Tampa in the Stanley Cup Finals. But
well,
yes,
they've got an advantage considering that Tampa just lost one of their forwards to a 2-game suspension.
Thank goodness. He's something. As you see, Jeff Pogo. Jeff Pogo in the red, white, and blue. Daniel Dill, same thing. As, again, Independence Day coming up this weekend. And we might be doing something special on Independence Day. Not quite sure. We do not
at some point this weekend.
We do not have the Medieval Racing League to worry about this weekend, so Sunday might be a fun day for us here at ESPN. As Tony, why don't you bring him down to green this time?
Field working its way through the 3-4 complex, and Ryan Jones going to have the button one more time. He's got Chase Berry to his outside, and he's got a very hungry Lee Norton right behind him as the pace car makes the hard left turn onto pit road, coming out of turn number 4, and Jones holds him down till now. Green flag comes in the air, and Jones was getting the restart on the high side, got the jump. Berry able to hang with him, and here comes Norton on the inside.
Yep, Norton will get the move done. Randy Bechtel trying to stay up there on the outside line, but that's the 14 of Jeff Price, who we did not see last week at Homestead, starting to work his way forward. Now the 24 of Jordan Smith getting around the current points leader, Evan Pienta. So guys starting to move around all over the place. Jeff Price so far, of the guys that are in the top 10, biggest mover, up from 9th position on the initial start. Dale Elan Jr. currently running in the 13th position, up 8 spots, one of the biggest movers tonight as well.
Now here's the thing to consider. When we were at Milwaukee, the 24 Jordan Smith was the fastest truck on track all night long. The only thing is he got caught up in someone else's dumpster fire early on and got put behind the 8 ball, had to make his way back through the field. So keep your eye on the 24 tonight, as he was strong last week as well at Homestead.
A little bit of a different look as well for Jordan Smith here this week, sporting the same colors and design of the U.S. Air Force monster truck. For those of you who watch Monster Jam, that might have looked familiar to you, and yes, it is a play off of that monster truck there. So Jordan Smith running a little bit of a design instead of just a plain white car, which always looks better.
Yeah, absolutely. Different look for Jeff Price in the 14 as well, as he's rocking the black and orange this week, as we saw him in the white the last time he was on track.
Absolutely. A lot of guys rocking different schemes. Night races always tend to bring out the different looking paint schemes, and boy, did they really nail it this week, as Ryan Jones starting to get caught up by Chase Berry just a little bit in that number 1. Lee Norton there as well, the 51, last week's winner. Randy Bechtel also getting into this battle. This is a little bit of a 4-car breakaway up here at the front of this field.
5th place Jeff Price still keeping them all pretty honest, but if you take a look at the entrance that Chase Berry in the 1 is taking, as opposed to the entrance to turn 3 that Lee Norton is taking on this coming lap, you can see the different driving styles as these guys attack turn 3. And I've got to think that Norton is probably going to be punishing his tires a little bit harder than the 2 guys in front of him, just with how deep he's driving into 3.
Just rode on board there with Lee Norton, driving it in, not only driving it in deep, but also taking a lower line, staying on the bottom side a lot longer than the other guys around him, are trying to arc the corners. Randy Bechtel now looks to his inside for a possible look at 3rd position. Has that inside run, but doesn't quite have the run off the corner that he needed. Bechtel will have to remain in 4th for now.
And that's the thing we're probably going to see all night, is going through 1 and 2. You can defend on that upper line because you're going to have to pinch the guy to your inside down. But if he's not afraid to bang fenders, all bets are off, as Evan Pienta having a little bit of connection issues coming off of 4. A little bit of a scary moment for Brandon Ayers as he backs out of it.
Absolutely. Is looking and speaking of drivers with new paint schemes, there's the 25 getting around the 24. Scott Tompkins right now trying to regain his points lead, running up in the 6th position. Had a very good race truck last week, but had an issue last night. Tony, he told us after the race what had happened. Oh, that's right. His crew chief app did not put his fuel in on that first stop, so he had to come back in because he was out of fuel after not taking fuel on the initial stop, caught himself a lap down, and was effectively out of the race from there. So that 25 of Tompkins had a very good car last week, just an unfortunate situation kept him out of the finish that he rightfully deserved.
And I can guarantee you he double-checked that before this race went green tonight. That's one of those deals where you're just making sure and double-checking and triple-checking, especially when an issue like that arises. As Zach Calloway looking to the inside of the 80 of Ellis Thomas. Calloway with a big, strong move coming off of 4. Gets the run, carries it into 1 and 2, so put Calloway up into the number 14 slot. As Stephen Holmes starting to make some headway as well in the 9.
And Holmes starting to make some headway. Also up here at the front, inside of the top 10, Brandon Ayers has just gotten around Evan Pienta in the 16. So that Grizzly number 16 starting to work his way towards the front of this field. We'll go back and take a look at the number 9 of Stephen Holmes. There he is, up into the 18th position. His next victim is Tommy Cannon in the number 47, is just behind them. Anthony Reynolds in the 82 trying to work his way around Daniel Dill, that for the 19th spot.
Yeah, absolutely. As looks like Justin Winters looking to the inside of Pienta to try to knock him out of the top 10 as they're in lockstep going through turns 3 and 4. And new paint scheme on Pienta's truck tonight as he's representing the United States Air Force as well.
I believe that's kind of throw to the Thunderbirds on that machine there. So very nice touch there for Evan Pienta, who I don't think has had a similar paint scheme in any of the 5 races that we've seen this season. So bringing out new paint schemes, and if you think his paint schemes look great and you want to drive some of his paint schemes, he does have a page on Trading Paints. And I'll tell you, above average work, certainly Evan Pienta does. I believe he just put out, or just finished not that long ago, putting out his 1998 collection, 1998 Cup collection for the 87 Cup cars, and my goodness, they look incredible.
Absolutely. As we're back under caution.
Yes, we are. It looks like the 5
wow.
of Scott Stotler. Oh, the 8 of Eric Holly in there as well. There's Stotler completely torn up. So we'll see what happened to the 5 of Stotler to bring out this caution. Battling with Tommy Cannon, and it looked like Cannon might have been trying to side draft and just, ooh, a big hit there. Nose-to-nose hit for Hagedorn and Stotler. It just looked like Tommy Cannon just pushed him right down the track. Came up and just looked like he was trying to side draft him and just got a little too close. Here's the back end of the collision with Hagedorn as we ride on board with Hagedorn right now.
Yeah, I got to put that one on the 47 as he did come up the track. And you want to see a part... Ooh, almost made it through there. I was going to say, you want to see a parting of the seas. Watch what Daniel Dill does. The only thing is he got hooked right at the end there by the 11.
Take a look. This is Daniel Dill. Sees the wreck happen in front of him. Just does get through. And that might have been the 8 of Eric Holly. Either the 8 of Holly, or is that he's just come nose to nose with there?
That was Nick Lamb in the 37 that came down on him. So almost made it through there.
Yeah, just about, as we have pit stops galore here in the early stages of this this event. Lee Norton, Jordan Smith wins the race off of pit road. And it looks like Norton taking this time to repair some damage on the right front nose of that car, and there's quite a bit of damage on the right front corner of that machine.
Right front and right rear all crinkled up on the Matchbox number 85. So he definitely got into the wall somewhere. Not exactly sure where, though. But a lot of torn up trucks here already, Frank, and we're only working lap 20.
Absolutely. Is Ryan Jones, Randy Bechtel, Chase Barry, Scott Tompkins, and Jeff Price your current top 5? As a lot of the guys that we saw starting to move backwards, now moving back up towards the front. As we saw Jeff Pogo was at the back, he's up to 14th now. Thanks to these pit stops, Stephen Holmes, we saw really started to feel his tires working at the end of that run, now up into 13th position. Biggest mover of the race, though, so far is Zach Calloway, starting in the 26th position. He's up to 10th.
Yeah, absolutely. As the thing to keep in mind, too, is Stephen Holmes, while he was working his way into the top 10, went back down pit road under this caution to play the fuel mileage game. He and Jeff Pogo and Jordan Smith all topping off with fuel, making sure that should we get an extended green flag run, that these guys are going to be able to hang out there as long as they possibly can. And that's something we've seen here a lot at Gateway. This track does tend to be a fuel mileage track once everything gets sorted out towards the end.
Absolutely, as we're working on the second caution of the night here tonight, as it will be Ryan Jones. And Tony, it looks as though he's going to take the outside line here.
He did that in the last restart too, because when you're coming out of turn 4, that's where the rubber's laid down, so you can apply the power a little more aggressively on that second lane than what Randy Bechtel's going to be able to do on the inside. The other thing he's got to consider too is Scott Tompkins is on a charge right now, and he's up there to try to block off any run that Tompkins can get in that 25. Because the 25 has just been on a move. Did not get the qualifying run he was hoping for. Already sitting in the number 4 slot as the field works its way down the backstretch, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be Ryan Jones and Randy Bechtel here in the first row. Chase Barry and Scott Tompkins in row number 2. Jeff Price and Chris Smith will make up row number 4. The first of the drivers that came into pit, that's Jordan Smith. He's back in the 13th position, or the 15th position right now, pardon me, as he works on the inside there of Jeff Pogo. So as they come around, we're about to go back to green flag racing here for the third time tonight. Ryan Jones looking to get that same jump he got last time. Bechtel hanging back. Jones takes off. We're back to green flag action.
Jones picks the throttle up just a little bit sooner than he did last time. It caught Randy Bechtel a little sleep, as here comes Scotty Tompkins on the high side in lockstep with Bechtel coming off of turn 2.
And Tompkins was really starting to roll as that run went on, so that 25 getting stronger and stronger as the tires get worse and worse. Just the same way we saw at Homestead last week. Also, look, Justin Winters starting to come up into the 6th position now. Looking to the outside, he'll clear Jeff Price. Next up, Chase Barry in the 1.
Chase Barry trying to make some headway right now. He's got to worry about Winters in that 51, though, as Winters overcooks turn 1. That's going to let the 14 of Jeff Price get a good run on him. And don't look now, but here comes Zach Calloway in the 55. Had a real strong run at Milwaukee, so look for Calloway to start making some headway here at Gateway.
Yeah, was able to get around Brandon Ayers. Chandler Summers tried to hold off Stephen Holmes and not doing it successfully at the moment. Chandler now starting to work back up to the outside, got the run, and he will successfully be able to hold off the charge of Stephen Holmes. Now Dale Elan Jr. will look to follow in the 15's footsteps, trying to take that 11th position.
Meanwhile, up towards the front of this field, the 52 of Justin Winters overcooked turn 1 again. He's taking a real different line through 1 and 2 than everybody else is, as here comes the 14 of Jeff Price to his inside. Drag race through 3 and 4 as Price in the inside, Winters on the high side. Price a little bit squirrely coming off of 4, able to get the power down, getting the rest of the spot away from Winters.
He's liking the run that he's getting on that outside, but unfortunately it's not helping him right now. Is Justin Winters as Jeff Price moves into the 6th position. Now Zach Calloway sitting behind him in the 55. Looking a little bit further back now, the 8 of Eric Holly trying to get around Ellis Thomas, pardon me. The 85 of Lee Norton also trying to work his way back up towards the front. Holly getting around England, that's for 12th. Lee Norton will follow him through into 13th. So Norton showing he still has the pace as around goes Dale Eland on the inside. Spinning, caution is out. The 80 of Ellis Thomas, nowhere to go, and that is caution number 3.
That was a big moment coming off of 4.
Let's see what happened here with Dale Eland. He hit the wall coming off of 4. Ellis Thomas tried to sneak under and just did not move over enough, and that's what gets both of them going sideways. Jordan Smith, however, has a very good look at this. On board of Smith. Watch out.
The complete parting of the seas right there for the 24.
Just move right on over. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Come again.
So as we work our 3rd caution, we're still having a little bit of technical issues here on our side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching the TNT Truck Series presented by the United Sim Racing Association. Round number 5 of the season for Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. We'll be back right after this. Lights are out on the pace cars. We're looking to end the third caution of the night here in round number 5 for the TickleZombie.com TNT Truck Series here from Gateway, as Ryan Jones has led a vast majority of the opening 30 laps here. Randy Bechtel, as close as he's been to the front all night long, will get the restart next to him on the inside line as Jones takes the outside once again. Tony, we're getting ready to go back to it.
Absolutely. As pace car makes the hard left turn onto pit road, Jones has the button, rolls into the throttle coming off of 4. Bechtel caught a little bit of sleep, able to go with him, but Chris Smith completely asleep at the switch as he's now got to worry about Scotty Tompkins to his inside as they haul it off into turn number 1.
Tompkins has been incredibly quick here as these runs have gotten later and later. There's a little bit of a wiggle there by Chris Smith on the outside line is going to help Scott Tompkins make the pass. Jeff Price now trying to look under the 52 of Justin Winters, while Zach Calloway tries to pass Brandon Ayers on the inside. Lee Norton, Chandler Summers battling it out for the 10th position as well.
Those guys in lockstep right now as Ayers and Summers still throwing haymakers at each other. Right behind Lee Norton, hauling it off side by side into turn number 1. As don't look now, but here comes the TickleZombie.com Ford F-150 of Stephen Holmes trying to make some headway. And here comes Ayers back on the inside of Summers. Did the crossover coming down the backstretch.
Riding on board with the number 9 right there is now Summers stuck on that outside line with Brandon Ayers to the inside, trying to take that position away. Just behind them, that's Evan Pienta trying to take Jeff Pogo and Chase Barry along as they try to get around Cody Levitt in the 38 for the 13th position, as Ayers and Summers getting incredibly close to making contact there in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Summers gets the position.
As Stephen Holmes now has to defend against Eric Holly in the 8 on the high side. Holmes just sails it off into turn number 3 in the series sponsored F-150. And Frank, I don't know about you, but I'm getting pretty gosh darn sick and tired of my t-shirt showing no signs of life.
Yeah, I am as well. And Tony, tell us about it.
Well, if you're like Frank and I, you need to go see Brian over at TickleZombie.com. You can choose from an ever-expanding selection of mindlessly quirky designs crafted from spur-of-the-moment ideas that'll tickle your fancy. Not only do they have t-shirts, but they've got hats, hoodies, mugs, so much more. You don't even need to think about it. You go over to TickleZombie.com, let Brian know that we sent you, and it'll make even the undead take notice.
Right on board with that number 9 right now, trying to hold the number 8 of Herrick Holly off. Evan Pienta back there as well in that 00. He has gotten around Cody Levitt. Not really missing much up at the front. Jeff Price had put a move on Chris Smith not that long ago, but as you can see, did not gain the position. So he is still holding firm right now in 5th. Let's take a little bit, look a little bit further back. There is Jeff Pogo. A lot of guys that we're used to seeing up towards the front of this field. Chase Barry, Jeff Pogo, Jordan Smith, all sitting at the back right now.
They are, and I got to think this is by strategy. They're kind of conserving tires. They're conserving fuel. They're hoping that this thing is going to get a long green flag run, and we've got a decent one going right now, so get your hate mail coming. That's Tony Spasso, ESPN Towers, PO Box LU812. As I just changed. Whoa, what happened there?
I don't know. That's Ellis Thomas. It's the 80 of Ellis Thomas had a moment. We'll see what's happened to him as he stops right there in pit lane entry. Does Thomas. Try to see what happened.
Hand grenaded the engine going into 3.
Yep, there it goes. Assume he's trying to get down into pit road here and stops on the racetrack.
Well, the only problem is he came directly perpendicular to the racing line, and the iRacing algorithm threw the caution. So Lap 39, you got to wonder how many of the guys up towards the front are finally going to come in and get their first set of tires, as they only have 4 total sets to deal with. The set that they qualified on is also the set they started the race on, and then they have 3 other sets that they can change onto during the race. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of strategies we see play out here tonight, as we are working getting ready to start lap 40 of 160.
And speaking of pit stops, the only driver in the top 10 right now that has come into pit road is Lee Norton. Now, Norton's going to stay out here. There's a lot of guys midfield and to the back. Chandler Summers is going to be the first one into pit road. Stephen Holmes follows him in. Jordan Smith there as well. Jeff Pogo, seeing the 11 of Daniel Dill. Eland in, and so is the 47 of Tommy Cannon. So a lot of guys right now getting into pit road, as still though that top 10 begging off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't really blame those guys. I mean, it's a strategy call, trying to figure out what they can do to make some headway, as there is definitely a tire drop-off, as you would expect on a track such as this that beats the ever-loving bejesus out of the right-side tires. And from the looks of it, everybody that just went down pit road took 4 in fuel.
Stephen Holmes will win the race off of pit road, so Holmes will gain a position on pit road away from the number 15 whose pit stop we were watching there. So still now only Lee Norton and Eric Holly now with those pit stops taking place, the only 2 drivers in the top 10 that came into pit at some point in this race. Both Norton and Holly coming in at the caution on lap 19. Evan Pienta coming in the last caution on lap 28. So still a difference of strategy, even just in the drivers that came into pit. None of the top 7 have come into pit. Brandon Ayers, the only other driver in the 16 that has not yet seen pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to expect that when we do go back to green, there is going to be a difference between what we're going to see out of the 85 and the 8, as opposed to the 16 and the 51, who they're going to be starting around, as the 85 and the 8 have both put 4 tires on the trucks. Everybody else in front of them, you're talking about a 20-lap difference between tires, and it's going to be interesting to see what goes on behind them, as Jordan Smith going to have the freshest, Stephen Holmes going to have the freshest tires on track, as Jordan Smith came in just for fuel only in the 24.
Stephen Holmes pitting on lap 39, so you're right, he will have the freshest tires of the lot. Coming up on ESPN over this next week here, it will be the eFormula 3.5 series, as they will make their way now to the Red Bull Ring. That will be this Saturday afternoon, starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then on Monday, the first night after Independence Day, the Rowdy Energy Cup Series will make its way to yet another road course. This time it'll be Road America for, I believe it would be round number 19 of their season. Double headers are back on Tuesday night, as the UK Sim Racing's MX5 Pro Series makes its way to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for round number 4 of their season. That'll be at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the season debut, season 45 for the Western States Racing League. They will start up again at Kentucky. So they will start on July 6th, and I believe December 7th is their end date for the 20-race season. Again, season 45 for the Western States Racing League, starting back up this week.
Incredible racing in that league too, Frank.
Yes, absolutely. As we get set to go back to green flag racing here, about to start lap number 43, Ryan Jones takes the outside line yet again. Jones looking to get this race started. There he goes. We're back to green flag racing. Randy Bechtel, his restart's getting a little bit better and better each time.
Bechtel getting a little bit of better restart, and meanwhile, Lee Norton with a huge restart, able to make up a spot, as now he's got Zach Calloway to his inside. And don't look now, but here comes the number 14 of Jeff Price, looking at Chris Smith going into 3.
Eric Holly and Brandon Ayers side by side. Evan Pienta and Cody Levitt side by side as well. As you mentioned, Jeff Price sitting in the 5th position, trying to work on the 81 of Chris Smith. Lee Norton still battling side by side with Calloway. A little bit of side by side contact there between the 85 and the 55. They're going to come together again here in the middle of 1 and 2 and almost get together on the exit. It's almost 3-point contact right there.
Calloway trying to pinch Norton down. Norton having none of it. Still side by side as they haul it off into turn number 3. Norton just sends it and wrestles the spot away from Calloway. Calloway trying to battle back, not going to be able to do it. Norton slides up in front of him. Meanwhile, Evan Pienta working on Brandon Ayers as they haul it off into turn number 1.
Norton looking now on Justin Winters, trying to take that position. Even more contact there from the 85 on the 52, and Norton really working his way forward. Another guy working his way up towards the front. And even more contact between the 52 and 85 going down into turn 3. Chase Barry also trying to work his way through this field, has gotten around the 9 of Stephen Holmes, a little bit ahead of them. That is the 38 of Cody Levitt, trying to stay ahead of the 24 of Jordan Smith, not doing that entirely successfully, even though Jordan Smith drives the corner in a little bit too deep.
Drag race down the back straightaway between the 55 and the 52. That's Winters on the high side, Calloway on the inside, still in lockstep. And they've got to get this sorted out pretty quick because Brandon Ayers is on a charge in the 16.
Brandon Ayers, the last of the drivers that has not come into pit road yet, still working his way actually up towards the front of this field, as Evan Pienta, who came into pit back on lap 28 with a lot fresher tires in the 16 at least, now takes that inside line. Eric Holly trying to jump up into the top 10 for the first time tonight, trying to follow the 00 through. Now has to defend from the 24 as they head into turn 3.
2 United States Air Force trucks in lockstep right now, battling their way into the top 10. Pienta in the top 10. Smith sitting in 11th, looking to the inside of him, though, coming off of turn number 4, side by side, drag race to the stripe. Give the spot to Smith, got a better drive, and he's bringing Stephen Holmes in the 9 with him.
Those are 2 teammates there in the 24 and the 00, finishing 2nd and 3rd last week, respectively. And you're right, Stephen Holmes now has split those 2 teammates, has split the U.S. Air Force in 2, has the TickleZombie.com Ford F-150. And that number 90 is moved into the 11th spot up towards the front. Lee Norton giving Chris Smith absolutely zero room to breathe through 3 and 4. Norton on those fresher tires, freshest tires of anyone right now in the top 9, trying to make them work to his advantage.
Heavy damage on the Matchbox Toyota Tundra, but he's making it work for him. Chris Smith under heavy pressure right now as Norton trying to figure out a way around him. Meanwhile, Ryan Jones, Randy Bechtel, Scott Tompkins still up towards the front of this thing as Norton just full send it into turn number 3.
Norton trying to take every bit of racetrack that he possibly can to get around that number 81, and we've seen he's been no stranger to contact, especially here on this run. Look a little bit further back, the 24 of Jordan Smith starting to work his way forward as he gets around Justin Winters. Stephen Holmes now starting to follow through. We might go 3 wide here with Winters, Ayers, and Pienta, but Ayers backs out of it.
Ayers putting discretion on the better side of Valor as he now dives into the inside of the 52. Winters trying to make that second lane work. He's able to conserve tires a little bit better, but it's not working for him the way he's hoping, as Ayers able to get alongside him coming off of turn number 4 as Justin Pienta sits right there as he's getting his rearview mirrors filled with the number 4, Jeff Pogo.
Evan Pienta right now you're riding on board with Pienta. Now Pogo going through on the inside of that 00. And now with the weak run from the 16, you can see just the run on board, especially the great run that Evan Pienta got to get to the outside of the 16. Daniel Dill trying to push that 00 through.
Dill trying to make it happen on the high side. As, yeah, that was a big moment for Ayers, and Pogo had absolutely nowhere to go except step on the binders as this battle continues to rage on as Pienta in the number 11 slot. Dill now, contact! Great save by Dan Dill coming through 1 and 2 as he was completely sideways at one point, able to keep it collected, get back in line as he's only going to lose a handful of spots on that one.
Just missed that as it was happening here. We'll try to take a look back and see if we can see that big save is going down into turn number 1, racing with Ayers in the 16 to the inside of him, and there was the contact, and yep, that great save there by the 11 of Daniel Dill as action starting to spice up all over this racetrack as Ayers way out of the racing line. He has some issues with that number 16 right now.
Well, he's got 53 laps on his tires, and as hard as he's been running, it wouldn't surprise me if he's got a tire going down as these guys are on the new tire model. Meanwhile, Dan Dill trapped behind him, and here comes Chase Berry in the ace.
Dill shoving him along through 3 and 4 as Daniel Dill, you're right, sitting in that 14th position. This is a battle for the 12th position on track right now as Pogo down to the back of Winters. A little bit further ahead, there goes Pogo around Justin Winters in the foreground. Daniel Dill finally getting around the 16 of Brandon Ayers. We were looking up a little bit before, right as Ayers was making that save. The 85 of Leeds Norton has gotten around Chris Smith, and this pack here with Callaway, Smith, Price starting to break up, and Holmes has gotten to the front of it. Holmes about to jump into the top 5 for the first time tonight.
Freshest tires on the track in the top 10. That's Stephen Holmes in the Tickle Zombie Ford F-150, working on the back of Chris Smith right now as Norton got by Smith a little while ago, and what was over a second gap between Norton and Scotty Tompkins in 25 is now down to about 3 car lengths.
Again, Norton came into pit on lap 19. Tompkins has not pit at all, so it's 19 laps, and even with how much we've been under caution, those 19 laps certainly mean a lot. And Stephen Holmes has 20 laps fresher tires than even Lee Norton, and for the first time in quite some time, he is out in clean air right now. Just set the fastest first half of the lap out of anyone thus far here in this race. Looking very composed coming out of turns 3 and 4. Looking to set the fastest lap overall here tonight, and does not quite get there. A 35.26. Compare that to Lee Norton's 35.78.
Oh, you take a look at everybody in the top 4. 35.78, 35.73, 35.8, and 35.78. Stephen Holmes is one of the strongest trucks in the top 5 right now, as Randy Bechtel's still working on the backside of Ryan Jones to try to wrestle the lead away from him. But you got to think those guys are going to have to come into pit relatively soon.
A very roundabout way of saying that Stephen Holmes is the fastest truck in the top 5 right now, and one of the fastest trucks on the racing surface at the moment. Jordan Smith has gotten around Chris Smith, and has also gotten around Zach Callaway. So that 24, who also came into pit on lap 39, has now been sprung free and has a 1.4 second deficit to make up to Stephen Holmes, who is now putting Lee Norton under a ton of pressure here in the top 5, looking for that 4th position going down into turn number 1. Holmes is able to get there, and with the tire grip, able to keep that truck on the inside line. Holmes up to 4th.
Little bit of a wiggle coming out of 2 that's going to let Norton get back to his outside going into 3, and we've seen how deep Norton has sent it going into 3. And, contact!
Yep, that 9 looked like he had gotten a little bit of a wiggle going into turn 3. Hit the 85, and unfortunately that broke both of them, as now Lee Norton gets into the wall coming off of 4. Jordan Smith trying to take full advantage of this. Not going to be able to get around the 9 as they head into turn 1.
That was a simple trying to outbrake maneuver, and Stephen Holmes knows he has fresher tires. Lee Norton just 0 F's given as he was trying to hang on the high side. He's going to lose 2 spots for it as Holmes up into the number 4 slot, Jordan Smith up into the number 5 slot, and don't look now, but here comes Chris Smith in the 81.
We're looking at the replay right now, and there's no doubt that 9 threw it in there, trying to stay on the inside of the 85, and just could not hold the car on the inside. But you're right, that damage from hitting the wall coming off of turn 4, which might have had something to do with Holmes, might not have, has really put the 85 back now. The 81 of Chris Smith all over him, as this top group here is really broken up.
Yeah, absolutely, as there's now over a second deficit between Jones, Bechtel, and Tompkins, and then you go back to the battle between Stephen Holmes and Jordan Smith, and then you're another 6 car lengths back to Lee Norton, who is just under all sorts of pressure from Chris Smith, Zach Calloway, and Jeff Price.
One guy who is on fresher tires here that's not making quite the same progress as Stephen Holmes and Jordan Smith, that is the 00 of Evan Pienta. Pienta came into pit on lap 28. He has now fallen behind some of the drivers that have come in, and he is coming into pit road right now. A very early stop, actually overcooks that access road, gets into the grass a little bit. That'll cost him some time. But Evan Pienta coming into pit road. Ryan Jones also pitting from the race lead. Pienta coming in last on lap 28. This is Jones's first stop of the night.
Jones, the first one of the leaders to call no mas on the tires, as working lap 63 of 160. So you got to think that he's looking to get the undercut here, provided he didn't get popped for speeding going in. Looked like he was nice and safe. Right side's up, left side's up, and down and away goes Jones in 14.5. So 4 tires and fuel for the pole sitter in the number 7.
Scott Tompkins in from the 4th position. Chris Smith in as well. Chase Barry, Justin Winters, Brandon Ayers in also. Randy Bechtel right now, the race leader. He will come in, and this will give the race lead to Stephen Holmes. Zach Calloway and Jeff Price both decide to stay out. Those two are the only 2 on the racetrack right now that have yet to come into pit road. As you see Randy Bechtel down on pit lane right now. Stephen Holmes currently leading this event here in the number 9.
TickleZombie.com Ford F-150 of Stephen Holmes in control of this thing. Jordan Smith right now just riding, knows that he's got a lap car of Ryan Jones behind him. These guys up towards the front are hoping for a timely caution to catch these guys that had to pit under green a lap down. Not probably going to happen, as Jones on a real charge right now. Got those tires finally up to temperature. We're about to see what the difference is between fresh tires and old tires, as across the stripe, Stephen Holmes 35.77 to Ryan Jones 34.96.
And the undercut, once again, absolutely massive here. Randy Bechtel staying out 2 laps longer than Ryan Jones, comes out 3 seconds behind the 7. He's actually lost a spot as well to Scott Tompkins, who came in on lap 63. So just as we saw 2 weeks ago at Milwaukee, the undercut absolutely huge here. Same thing with Homestead as Jeff Price comes in for his first pit stop. Zach Calloway still the only holdout. Cody Levitt down into pit road as well, as guys who came in on lap 19 taking this time to get back on cycle with the race leaders.
Absolutely, as these guys are still battling it out pretty good, as Jordan Smith sitting in second. He's got the 25 going to his inside. There goes the 81, as those guys, 57 and 25. getting by Jordan Smith as they now set their sights on race leader to get their laps back effectively. That was a big moment.
Yep, Tompkins getting a little bit too eager there going into turn one. That forces Stephen Holmes up the racetrack, and a lot of that gap that Holmes had created to Jordan Smith is now gone. Randy Bechtel takes to the inside of Scott Tompkins. Bechtel set the fastest lap of the race last time around at the 34.51. We'll see what he can do here in the 51. This time around, it will be a 34.55. Zach Callaway finally comes down into pit road. Everybody now has come down to pit road at least once. Drivers who hadn't yet are caught a lap down here on this cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still interesting to see just the difference between old tires and new tires and how well you can preserve your tires. We're looking just over a second difference between fresh rubber and about 30 laps on the tires. So this might turn into a battle of fuel mileage and who can keep the right sides from dying.
Evan Pienta and Chris Smith now starting to make their way back up through the field here as Stephen Holmes getting back on the lead lap. The next car in front of them, just to put into comparison the times on these tires, Stephen Holmes came in again on lap 39. He just ran a 36.0 that last time through. Ryan Jones, who came in on lap 62, ran a 34.89, so a 2-second difference, a 1.5 second difference between 39 lap old tires and fresh rubber.
Yeah, absolutely. Tire fall off is going to be something that we've got to keep mindful, especially in these trucks with the aero package that they give them and with the tire model that they give them. It's very easy to burn your stuff up very early in the run, and perhaps Stephen Holmes may have gone too hard too quick, but he is maintaining a decent gap right now to the 24, Jordan Smith, who's on a very similar tire strategy as Lee Norton, who is on 20-lap older tires, turning roughly the same lap times as is Holmes and Smith.
So as typical with iRacing and as typical with these tires, they tend to drop off really significantly and then hit a plateau where they don't really drop off much anymore. Right now there's 2 races going on here. Naturally, it's the race for the overall lead between Stephen Holmes and Jordan Smith right now as Jeff Price looks to get a lap back. And then there's the race for the effective lead, which helpfully starts in a position with a 1. The 11th position of Ryan Jones currently has the effective race lead for the drivers that came in under this set of green flag stops around 10 laps ago. Everyone before them is off cycle, so 1st through 10th is in their own race, everybody else in their own race.
And you can really see the difference between Jones and Bechtel as far as how well that undercut worked, as there's about a half a straightaway advantage from Jones back to Bechtel as Jones gets by the 47 of Tommy Cannon, moves into the number 10 slot. Now there is about a 23 lap difference between the two of them on tires, so Cannon is going to have to call no mas here probably in a few more laps.
Robert Dudley coming into pit road as Jared Hagedorn had to stop for the 49 coming in. Jeff Pogo has gotten around Lee Norton. Damage playing an effect there, as well as Norton on tires from lap 19. Jeff Pogo on tires from lap 39. Right now, as you can see where these drivers have come into pit over the course of this race. These guys, as we said, in a race of their own right now. And the longer this run goes, the worse off they are, because that's allowing Ryan Jones to get just a little bit closer and a little bit closer.
Jones already up into the number 8 slot as Eric Holly and
it's like
I just
Wilson,
lost my place.
Justin Winters in the 52 battling it out.
They both get by Lee Norton, and here comes the 16 as well, getting by the 85. So the 85 on the oldest tires on track right now has got to stop the hemorrhaging soon.
And the 58 of Justin Winters right now is not in the race with these guys. He is another couple laps down. Winters, I would have to assume, had a pit road speeding penalty. He was 44.5 seconds in his pit box. So Winters is now down to the 24th position. However, Eric Holly in the 8 and Brandon Ayers in the 16, those two are racing for position, while the 4 of Jeff Pogo sits in the 3rd position.
Pogo being scored as number 3 on track as the 16 gets its lap back from him. So the 8, the 52, and the 16 all lap down or more. Meanwhile, up in the front, Jordan Smith has gotten by Stephen Holmes.
Yeah, we saw the back end of that pass there as Jordan Smith doing really, really well. And as Tony, you said, he did not take tires on that last pit stop. We'll take a look and show you the pit stop time between the drivers in the top 2. Jordan Smith 5.8, Stephen Holmes 14.4. That's tires only for that's fuel only, pardon me, for Jordan Smith. So he is on quite a bit older tires than even the 9 of Holmes. Forget about the rest of the field. He has gotten around him and is putting a gap between himself and the number 9.
Well, the other thing we know about Jordan Smith is he knows how to conserve his equipment. We saw it at Milwaukee. He was one of the fastest trucks on track all night long, just got caught up in that early dumpster fire that put him multiple laps down. So now that Smith has a clean truck and is in clean air, look for him to really make some headway, as he's already got a 5 truck length gap to the number 9 is Stephen Holmes, who's 3.5 seconds to the good over the number 4 Jeff Pogo, currently scored 3rd.
Battle starting to size up for the 4th position between Lee Norton and Daniel Dill. Meanwhile, there's Ryan Jones making the pass on Nicholas Lamb, as Randy Bechtel right there as well. Remember, we said that Randy Bechtel 3 seconds off the pace from Ryan Jones after that pit stop. He has clawed that back now to a half a second and has brought Scott Tompkins with him.
Absolutely, as the battle really heating up now for the number 4 slot, as Daniel Dill in the 11 really applying the pressure right now to the 85 of Lee Norton. Norton with a ton of damage on the right side of that Matchbox Toyota Tundra, as Daniel Dill in the 11. A little bit of damage on the right side on that F-150 of his, but really applying the pressure right now as they haul it off into turn number 3.
Lee Norton is not that far away from his green flag pit stop. He last came in, again, sound like a broken record, he last came in on lap 19. We're now working lap 82. So he has been out there longer than even the guys who had not come in at all and came in on the pit cycle on lap 62. So that 85 should be very, very close to coming into pit road here. He's got that 20 lap advantage that he had through the pit cycle and pitting under the first caution.
Well, the thing is with as close as Dill is running to him, you hope that he announces it early and doesn't force the entrance road, as these guys are required to use that access road at the entrance of 3 on the inside of the track to access the pits, only because it's just not feasible to try to make the same left turn that the pace car does when we go back to green.
You see the bubbles there for the 85 that's up at the top of the track map right now. And then down at the bottom of the track map is the bubble for the 7. That is where those two drivers are in relation to each other, as now here comes the 85 of Lee Norton in. So he will now surrender the 4th position to Daniel Dill. Dill currently working with a 14-second advantage to Ryan Jones, or just a little bit shy of a half a track advantage to Ryan Jones. So Jones now will get back into the top 5 by passing Lee Norton in pit road here. as the race for the effective race lead has now moved up into the top 5.
Absolutely. It's Jones, Bechtel, and Tompkins all right there. Tompkins starting to fill the rearview mirrors of Bechtel more and more, though, as they work their way down the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Jordan Smith out to a 2.5-second gap over the number 9 Tickle Zombie F-150 of Stephen Holmes.
And we're seeing these guys have found themselves in a good spot, because if this race goes green the rest of the way here, if these guys come in, scheduled to come in around lap 100, that means they're done pitting while everybody else around them is going to have to come in one more time. So the 24, the 9, the 4, and the 11, they're off cycle here, and they're hemorrhaging time to drivers that came into pit earlier. But right now, long run, they're looking very, very good if this race stays green.
And we've seen it before out of these guys. They have had long green flag runs. As a matter of fact, we're on the longest green flag run that we've seen all night currently, as Smith shows the way, Stephen Holmes, Jeff Pogo, Dan Dill, Ryan Jones rounding out your top 5, as Randy Bechtel and Scott Tompkins still in lockstep for that number 6 slot.
Working on a 50-lap green flag run here as they cross the line. Randy Bechtel and Scott Tompkins starting to really duke it out now for that 6th position, as Jordan Smith still holding on to this race lead, starting to get passed up by guys getting their lap back. Now another interesting driver here to watch is that number 47 of Tommy Cannon, currently running in the 14th position, about to be put a lap down by the 24. The top 4 drivers of Smith, Holmes, Pogo, and Dill all came into pit on lap 39. So did Tommy Cannon. Cannon just has not had the same pace that the other 4 drivers that came in on his lap have had over this run.
And this is a really weird track to try to get around and get a good feel for, because the two ends of the track are so vastly different. It's very difficult to get comfortable at this track, and it doesn't look like Cannon is able to find his comfort zone. Because the only thing these guys can adjust is the brake bias to try to help the truck turn, and it doesn't look like Tommy Cannon is able to really find that his comfort zone tonight.
A bit further back in the field, Jeff Price coming under fire from Dale Elan Jr. Price sitting in the 10th position, Elan sitting in 20th. Elan came into pit on lap 74, Jeff Price on lap 67. The battle for Price is right in front of him. That is the 81 of Chris Smith, who currently occupies his front windscreen. Looking for 9th position now is Price.
Price looking on Smith right now, not able to really make some headway as they are both reeling in Evan Pienta. Now Pienta pitted about a lap before these guys, and we know that Evan does normally have problems conserving his tires, and it looks like they are starting to reel him in as Pienta's tire wear may have gone away.
Pienta came in on lap 62, so he has the oldest tires of this trio here in this 8th place battle. Ryan Jones still holding on to that 5th position and the effective race lead from Randy Bechtel. Scott Tompkins in the number 25 holding on to 7th right now. So we have a 3-way battle for 5th, a 3-way battle for 8th, and now Jeff Pogo starting to catch up to the 9 of Stephen Holmes, as Holmes has had a heck of a time dealing with traffic. That 4 has not, and Pogo has now closed that gap within a second.
As Pogo reeling in Stephen Holmes, it's probably safe to say that Stephen Holmes went too hard too early on the fresh tires, as these guys are getting ready. Within the next 10 laps, expect to see the top 4 coming down pit side for what should effectively be their money stop should we stay green. Jordan Smith, Stephen Holmes, Jeff Pogo, and Daniel Dill, all 52 laps into their current fuel stint.
You saw there on the bottom of your screen, steady gains there for the number 4 over Stephen Holmes. Right now, Randy Bechtel is as close as he's been to the back end of that number 7 of Ryan Jones since they came out of the pits. Now the 51 does have a lap lead here. Came in a couple laps later than Ryan Jones. But now look at Scott Tompkins as he makes a dive to the inside looking for 6th.
Tompkins full send it mode going through 3. Bechtel gives him a little bit of room, pinches him down, coming off of 4. Drag race to the stripe. That's Bechtel on the high side. Tompkins on the inside. And if you're Ryan Jones right now, you're watching this in your rearview mirror going, yeah, go ahead, guys. Just run side by side. I'm going to walk away from you.
And that has been what has been going on as Bechtel, a big slide for Tompkins as he almost had that position. A big save, though, for Scott Tompkins keeps him in the battle. Again, this is for the effective race lead. The battle for the official race lead, not as interesting as Jordan Smith currently holds a 3.8 second lead over Stephen Holmes running in second. Jeff Pogo still within a second of that number 9. Unfortunately, no DRS here in these trucks.
Yeah, active arrow not allowed, but you can see that Pogo just nipping away at that lead that Holmes has on him for the battle for second place. But Randy Bechtel right now keeping the number 7 of Ryan Jones honest as they work by the lap truck. And I didn't see who that was.
Boy, a lot going on here as that's Larry Poling in the number 69 U.S. Army machine. It's the battle for the effective race lead gets past him. As we work lap 95 here from Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, we have the top 4 set to come in here within the next couple of laps. Jordan Smith, Stephen Holmes, Jeff Pogo, Daniel Dill, all expected to come into pit road here sooner rather than later. This is 60 laps now on their set of tires. I think the longest run was Price. Price able to do 67. Zach Calloway able to do 68 on his set of tires. Now, there were a lot of caution laps that were done on those sets of tires as well. Jordan Smith came into pit again on lap 39, did not take tires, so he's on the tires that he took on lap 28, still extending this race lead on Stephen Holmes.
And if that doesn't go to show just how well Jordan Smith can conserve tires, I don't know what does. As currently 57 laps on their stint for Smith, Holmes, Pogo, and Dill, as Ryan Jones 34 laps into his, Randy Bechtel and Scotty Tompkins 33 and 32 respectively. As yeah, you're absolutely right, Frank. Within the next handful of laps, we're gonna have to see those top 4 come into pit. And if this does stay green, that is going to be the money stop for them, as everybody else is going to have to come in one more time.
See, and that was one of the talking
Holmes
points.
In.
That was one of the talking points that we had, as you're right, Stephen Holmes has come into pit road. So Stephen Holmes comes in from the second position and will immediately plummet down the top 10. But that was what we were talking about earlier this season with Jordan Smith, was that he and Evan Pienta were not all that great at conserving tires last year. Those were 2 that were very, very quick to fall off. This year, both of them have done a fantastic job at getting better at saving tires, conservation. Both of those drivers have done an incredibly good job this season. Daniel Dill now comes into pit road. Pienta currently sitting in 7th spot right now in the 00. So those 2 teammates, there's still a long way to go, but both of them learning and putting what they've learned into action tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As Pienta has already told us he does not like this track. Currently sitting in the number 6 slot, as he did wrestle that spot away as Chuck went to the pits, as Jeff Pogo brings it pit side again.
Jeff Pogo coming into pit road. Now, this will be the 5th pit stop of the night for Jeff Pogo. This will only be his 2nd for tires, as that number 4 takes it down pit road. And with 61 laps to go, now here comes Jordan Smith in from the race lead. This will hand what was a theoretical race lead to now an official race lead to Ryan Jones here momentarily, as these three are heading through turns 3 and 4 right now. So Jordan Smith comes in on lap 101. He is good to go the rest of the way if we stay green here, and has quite an advantage at the moment.
Absolutely, is Ryan Jones, Randy Bechtel, and Scotty Tompkins in lockstep right now. Evan Pienta almost 8 seconds behind this battle for the race lead, as a little bit of a wiggle for Bechtel coming off a 2.
Oh,
that's going to let Tompkins reel him back in.
Creepers.
Big moment.
Yeah, absolutely, as that was Larry Poling on the outside of turn 2. Both Evan Pienta and Jeff Price having to take serious evasive action down the back straightaway to not get caught up with that number 69. And fortunately for both of them, they do not. But now we'll watch that 24 of Jordan Smith as he has come out ahead of Stephen Holmes. 3 laps fresher tires on that number 24 as compared to the 9. We'll see what he can do this lap, and we'll show you that pace advantage that Jones, Bechtel, and Tompkins had over Smith, Holmes, and Pogo. That has all but flipped.
It absolutely has, as Jordan Smith right now able to really turn and burn in the number 24, currently sitting in the number 11 slot, as 17 lap fresher tires than the number 10 position. That's the 85 of Lee Norton, and this is going to be the first flyer that Jordan Smith is going to see. Wow, 34.4 flat.
Yep, fastest lap of the race at a 34.41, a full 10th quicker than Randy Bechtel, who did hold the fastest lap of the race at a 34.51. So that 24 is flying. And because of the advantage that he had going into pit road, Jordan Smith able to stay on the lead lap. As a matter of fact, all of the drivers that were up there in the top 5, Holmes, Pogo, Ayers, Dill, all on the lead lap. Even bigger advantage if this race stays green and everyone has to pit again.
Absolutely is. Right now, Chase Berry running scared. Sorry, I misspoke. There he goes.
So Chase Berry
finally calling no mas.
Barry running into the pitch just behind him. Cody Levitt and Lee Norton battle it out for what is now the 8th position, as they both have a drag race to the start-finish line. Give the position to Cody Levitt at the line, as now Randy Bechtel looking to take the race lead. The 7 of Ryan Jones peels off and into the grass on the outside of the access road. Clips Scott Tompkins. No caution somehow, but that has taken both of these guys, and now the caution comes out, but that has taken both of these guys completely out of this race. Thompson comes in. Jones decides to stay out.
Tompkins is going to have to avoid going into his pit stall, because that will be a pit road violation if he does. And
he's in.
Oh boy. That should be an EOL for entering a closed pit, because I believe he was not past the commitment cone when the caution came out.
I don't think he was. And now Randy Bechtel coming in. Well, he had caught the pace car, so pit road is officially open. So Randy Bechtel getting saved here. And now that wonderful strategy for the 24, the 9, the 4, the 16, the 11, completely gone, as now they are going to have to race the top drivers in the field once again.
As Jones stays out again, Chris Smith comes in.
Now
Pienta is in.
Now those guys didn't necessarily have to come in. Speaking of Ryan Jones and Chris Smith, didn't necessarily have to come in again. Ryan Jones was trying to cover off the move of the 24 and trying to stay in a position to where he can chase those guys down. He was coming into pit road a lot earlier than he would have needed to. He would have been coming down around lap 120. And now he's going to come into pit road. Chris Smith as well.
You kind of expect it, it is money stop time. You're under caution. Don't risk it. Just go in, get the truck serviced, and that's going to hand the race lead over to 24, Jordan Smith. He's got Stephen Holmes with him, as there are a couple of trucks electing to stay out to get the wave arounds here.
The 15, the 1, the 37 electing to stay out. That's Chandler Summers, Chase Barry, and Nicholas Lamb. Let's take a look and see what happened here. Jones just too hot going onto the access road. Could not get the truck woed down in time. Tompkins was coming in with him, and just as Jones was starting to get that truck collected again, he loses the back end on the grass, and Tompkins just with nowhere to go.
And that's what brought out the caution was, the fact that you had a clogged up access road, because the way it works is the iRacing algorithm realizes that there are going to be guys coming on that access road at speed, and to have a truck sideways there is a recipe for disaster. As right now, Jordan Smith, Stephen Holmes, Dan Dill, Randy Bechtel, Evan Pienta, Jeff Price, Zach Calloway, Lee Norton, Cody Levitt, and Jeff Pogo rounding out your top 10, as we are going to restart with about 51 to go.
Again, this was the caution that Jordan Smith, Stephen Holmes, Daniel Dill did not want to see, as they were good to go the rest of the way. And again, it was a strategy call by the 7 to come in there. He did not need to come into pit road there. He only come in on lap 62 and could have gone about another 20 to 25 laps on that set of tires and on that tank of fuel. So it was a strategy called a short pit to get on the same strategy as the 24, the 9, and the 11. And that is what brought out caution number 4 of the day in our first, since back on lap 37, as we get set to go green once again. And for the first time in quite some time, we're seeing the leader start on the inside here as Jordan Smith elects that inside line with Stephen Holmes to his outside. Tony, take us back.
And they just extended the caution.
Yep, they did.
Trying to get these trucks caught up as the wave rounds weren't quite to the tail end of the field, and they didn't want to see anybody try to cold trickle the field, which just coincidentally, 35 years ago today, Days of Thunder premiered in movie theaters.
Well, there you go. Saw there, that was the 47 of Tommy Cannon. Chase Barry here trying to get caught back up. Chandler Summers. The 37 of Nicholas Lamb trying to get caught up as well. And it's not the first time we've seen this series do this, extending cautions to get the field caught back up with itself. Really quick, coming up on ESPN the rest of the week here. The final race before the 4th of July will be the eFormula 3.5 series. They will be at the Red Bull Ring. It'll be Jake Sperry and myself in the booth for that at 1:30 p.m. this Saturday. On Monday, it'll be the Rowdy Energy Cup Series at Road America. Expect Tony and Sam in the booth for that at 8:20. The 6th of July, the Tuesday doubleheaders are back. It's the MX5 Pro Series for UK Sim Racing at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Park at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Jake Sperry and Sam Cooper Bennett on the call for that. And then the Western States Racing League will be the first time in quite some time that we've heard from Ryan Williams and Ben Bruno as we go back to green flag racing here on lap 110.
Amazing restart for Jordan Smith as he brings the 11 of Dan Dale with him. Stephen Holmes trying to battle on the outside, just sends it. And here comes Bechtel in the 51.
Randy Bechtel on that outside. Again, freshest tires came into pit during that caution flag. So that 51, we've seen he's had pace all night long, and now he's got a chance to show it once again with a little bit of a tire advantage. Daniel Dill and Jeff Price battling it out for the 5th position. Price coming in under the caution. Dill coming in on lap 98 as Evan Pienta has brought that number 00 down into pit road as this battle up here at the front continues to be hot and heavy as Holmes trying to hold Bechtel off.
Lee Norton with a big move coming on the inside of Zach Callaway. That's your battle for 6. 3 wide for 7.
Yep, that's Ryan Jones on the inside of Jeff Pogo going into turn 3. As Pogo, no real dramas there, but there's drama behind them as that's the 16 of Brandon Ayers spinning sideways, and that will cause caution number 5 of the evening. And fortunately for Ayers, did not hit anyone or anything.
Does have some damage on that right rear quarter panel. May have had a little bit of help on that one. Just completely overcooked it going into 3, though. Yeah, a little bit of contact between the 81 and the 16 on corner entry, but just heads-up driving by Robert Dudley to avoid catching a race car to the face.
Definitely, you can see the tail end of contact there is Dudley doing a very good job, you're right, to stay off that number 16. As we are under our 5th caution of the evening, not anticipating any pit road takers since we just came into pit a couple of laps ago. So we'll take this time to go for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. You're watching round number 5 of the TickleZombie.com TNT Truck Series presented by the United Sim Racing Association here from Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. We'll be back right after this. About to go back to green flag racing here from the Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway for round number 5 of the TickleZombie.com TNT Truck Series presented by the United Sim Racing Association. Jordan Smith decides to take the outside line this time for the restart. That will put Stephen Holmes in front of Randy Bechtel for this restart here as Jordan Smith wastes 0 time, gets that truck straight coming out of turn 4 and presses the loud pedal as we have close racing behind him.
Jeff Price to the outside of Stephen Holmes, trying to make it happen for second place, still in lockstep. Give the spot to Price as he's got the fresher tires. Holmes
around in the back.
That, and we're back under caution.
Yep, 82 of Anthony Reynolds sent sideways in the back. And that will be caution number 6 here tonight.
It's like cold tires might have caught the 82 out. Stepped on his own junk, and the 16 finished him off.
At least from that angle, we didn't see any contact between the 82 and 16. We'll go back and see from the 16's point of view, and no, he didn't touch him.
No contact.
So good job of avoidance there from Brandon Ayers as the 82 of Anthony Reynolds. The cause of caution number 6 here this evening.
Working lap 118, getting ready to start 119 of 160. Jordan Smith, Jeff Price, Stephen Holmes, Randy Bechtel, and Zach Calloway are your top 5.
And as you do here on these shorter racetracks, cautions tend to breed cautions. And you know what we'll do here? I will say Jeff Pogo had the idea, and I thought I'd wait on it, but we've had an inordinate amount of cautions here. And naturally, we are, if you have an inordinate amount of cautions, you tend to run a little low on banter and time filler. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to bring the current race leader into the booth here to chat him up. Tony, would you mind taking over this one?
Jordan Smith, Tony Trapasso up in the booth. You got me, sir.
Sure.
So the pit strategy that you guys were starting with you, Holmes, and Dill, it looked like it was about to work out for you until that caution came out. Thoughts going into the closing laps of this piece?
Yeah, I really hated seeing that caution about 20 or so laps ago. Thankfully, I know Steve, myself, and I think Pogo and Dan Dill also pitted, so we were able to stay on the lead lap and come out front. So I think it'll end up working out for us. Still hated to see that caution, but overall not a wash.
Well, you've shown all night that you're able to conserve your tires better than just about anybody, but you got a pack of hungry wolves behind you as Jeff Price and Randy Bechtel, both hungry for wins this season. Going into the closing laps, do you think you're going to be able to give them some magic?
I think I have a shot. They have about 7 lap newer tires than me, and it seems like about 35 laps into a run, everything starts to even out. With these cautions, I don't really know. We'll see. But I think I have a shot, and I'm hoping to put on a good show.
All right, Jordan, best of luck to you in the closing laps. We're going to let you concentrate as the field looks like it's getting ready to go lights out this coming lap.
Sure, thank you.
So that was the insight there from the race leader, and as you could have imagined, not all that entertained by that caution coming out back on lap, 105. But still, right now, running all these caution laps, that's less of an opportunity for him to lose this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cautions breed cautions, and if you're the leader and you've got a good lead, you don't really want to see it. But knowing that the tire strategy is what it is, you're going to be okay with cautions if you're Jordan Smith. Knowing that you can make it from here, the only problem that he's going to have is Jeff Price, who's got a little bit of the blinkies right now, and Randy Bechtel, both on fresher tires, going to be starting to his outside. Stephen Holmes on the same tire strategy as he is, going to be starting right behind him.
A lot of the leagues that we broadcast here on the network are go on green for restarts. We know that the two series that fall under iRacing East, the Rowdy Cup Series and the Circle B Super Speedway Series, are go on green. This is not, and Jordan Smith played that to absolute perfection last time around, and I'm sure this time he chose the inside lane to not give Randy Bechtel that early jump the way he would get if the 24 was directly in front of him.
Absolutely, and he's got to be mindful of Jeff Price, who has been getting decent restarts. As there goes Smith, pulls the trigger. Bechtel drops down to try to cover Steve Holmes. Side by side with Randy Bechtel going into turn number 1. That's a battle for third.
And Jeff Price doing the best that he possibly could to try to break that momentum of the 24 of Jordan Smith, but Smith doing a great job of getting another very good restart as Randy Bechtel looks to have gotten around that number 9 of Stephen Holmes. Holmes going to dive it into the inside. He's not going to be able to hold the ground. The 51 jumps up into the third position as right behind them, battling side by side, Daniel Dill in the 11, Zach Calloway in the 55.
Calloway getting a great run off of 2 that last time. Going to slip up just a little bit coming off of 4. That's going to let Dill get the position as they still side by side coming through 1 and 2. Dill and Calloway almost making contact, and don't look now, but here comes the 7 of Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones right there battling with Lee Norton, and Norton is going to get caught up on the outside line as the 7 of Ryan Jones goes easily sailing through. Jeff Pogo sitting right behind that number 7 right now, still trying to get clear, and watch the 1 of Chase Barry try to take that run, swing to the inside. Scott Tompkins also trying to work his way through this field.
Barry had to make a big move to stay off the
3
back.
wide. Oh!
Contact.
And the caution comes out as the 25 of Scott Tompkins gets hit hard. Cody Levitt involved as well. It's the 85 of Lee Norton was there. And coming in late was the 37 of Nicholas Lamb. But that looked like a lot of cars funneling up into the same position on the racetrack. And we'll take a look at it right now, but there looked to have been a little bit of contact between Tompkins and Levitt. That's what turned them up.
Well, Tompkins went up the track and got into Levitt. Levitt was doing everything he could to stay off the 85 of Norton, and all hell broke loose behind him.
A couple of great dodges in there. The 00 of Pieta, the 16 of Ayers, both having incredible dodges there. As you take a look, the 3 wide, there's the 25. 85 was almost clear of it, and the 37 trying to hope that the seas parted for him and just didn't work out the way he would have wanted it to or hoped it would have. But let's ride on board here with Brandon Ayers. Watch this save here from Ayers. Boy.
Definitely a first you say it, then you do it kind of moment.
Unbelievable job there from Brandon Ayers. So good, in fact. Let's take a look back at him as he does it. Gets through. Should jerk this wheel down. Just does stay off of the 25 of Tompkins. And for Tompkins, this is yet another bad race in a row here, as that Frontline Enterprise number 25 is all torn up on pit road right now. And after the unfortunate mishap last week, this is certainly not going to help.
No, absolutely not. It's kind of shooting yourself in the foot 2 weeks in a row. Levitt catching a huge piece of that one. Looks like Lee Norton has gone pit side as well to try to fix some damage in the closing laps of this one, trying to pit farm that truck. But and Nicholas Lamb has put it on the hauler. Meanwhile, up at the front, Jordan Smith, Jeff Price, Randy Bechtel, Steve Holmes, Dan Dill rounding out your top 5, Zach Calloway, Ryan Jones up into the number 7 slot, Jeff Pogo into 8th, Chase Berry 9th, and Chris Smith in the 81 rounding out your top 10 as he's got a very hard charging Evan Pienta right there in 11.
And the timing of this caution really saved that number 24 of Jordan Smith, because he was about to be passed by Jeff Price. He was lined up and set to lose that position to the 14 of Price, and the caution came out just before the 14 could complete the move. So this was a big saving moment for Jordan Smith in the 24. And if my theory of him not wanting to give Bechtel the jump were to hold true, I think the 24 is going to pick the outside line here for this restart.
That's the safe bet right now. Again, because he's trying to cut off Bechtel. But the other thing, too, is he's trying to put Jeff Price in as much of an unfamiliar spot as he can. And we've seen Smith change up where he's restarting, too. So if Jeff Price is starting to get a line on where Jordan Smith is restarting, it would behoove him to put him to his inside, because you cannot pass to the inside until you hit the start-finish line. So he's going to at least lead to the green, if nothing else.
We've spoken about it. It's really hard for the driver who's not in control on the front of the first row to get a good restart, because you can't see the truck to either your inside or your outside. That's particularly true if the leader is restarting on the outside, because you really can't see that truck on the outside line. If you do try to look over, yeah, you'll see him, but you have a lot to look around and over instead of just looking out to your left and seeing him right out your window.
Right, because there's a head bolster on the right side of these trucks. If you just look to your right, even if you're in VR, the only thing you're looking at is the padding on the seat head as the pace car is in. Smith wastes absolutely no time, pulls the trigger, and brings the 9 to Stephen Holmes with him as Holmes up into the number 3 slot gets by Bechtel.
I still don't think Bechtel has restarted just yet, as that was a horrid restart by the 51, and just behind them, that's the 11 of Daniel Dill battling with Jeff Pogo there in the 4. He's going to lose that battle, and now might lose another one to Ryan Jones as Jones tries to get up into the 7th spot. Evan Pienta looking to battle that 81 of Chris Smith up here, now trying to get back into the top 10. A lot of close action here as we come down to 31 laps to go here at Gateway. Pienta now will get to the inside of the 81 in turns 1 and 2. Just can't quite hold the position as Jordan Smith still working with that buffer that he built on the restart.
Absolutely. 4 truck length lead for Jordan Smith up at the front. Meanwhile, Evan Pienta and Chris Smith in lockstep for the final spot in the top 10. Pienta with the nose out front, finally able to wrestle it away as that's Chase Berry getting by Dan Dill. That's your battle for 8th in front of them as those two guys just slugging it out right now.
Wild slide and a little bit of contact there. It looked to be net code at the quick glance between the 1 and the 11. In any event, that moves Daniel Dill back into the 10th position. Barry up to 8th, Pienta up to 9th, and the 11 of Dill will slot into the 10th position ahead of Chris Smith, as Jordan Smith now opening up a gap to Jeff Price, as Price now starting to have to worry more about the cars behind him as Holmes and Bechtel are coming. Randy Bechtel looking for 3rd.
And we heard Jordan Smith say that right around 25-30 laps, the tires do equalize, and that's about what they're on right now as we're working lap 132 of 160. Smith 30 laps into his stint, Jeff Price 25 into his, Stephen Holmes and Randy Bechtel, 34 and 35 respectively between themselves, as Bechtel filling making the pass on Holmes right now, coming off of turn number 4. Bechtel up into the podium, and we're under caution.
Yep, that's Eric Holly in the 8 that has gone around coming out of turn 4. And again, this is less time for Jordan Smith to have to defend.
Oh, there was contact.
And we'll take a look here and see what happened with Holly. It's the 85 of Lee Norton. Yep, Lee Norton sticks the nose in there a little bit late. That contact sends the 8 around, and that is caution number 8 here tonight.
I believe they refer to that as being a bull in a china shop.
Might be the case. As let's go on board on that restart with Randy Bechtel, because he got a horrid restart. As we're seeing drivers come into the pits, including the second place runner Jeff Price. So that little buffer that Jordan Smith had to Randy Bechtel is now gone. And Jeff Price into pit road, Stephen Holmes, Jeff Pogo in pit road as well. Ryan Jones in that first pit stall. We'll see the race off of pit road, and then we'll go back to that last restart. As Ryan Jones wins the race off of pit road, taking, I believe, 2 tires only for that number 7. Everybody else taking 4. Jeff Price, Stephen Holmes, Jeff Pogo, Daniel Dill, the next 4 off of pit lane.
So that should be final sets of tires for those guys.
Well, let's go back to this restart here, because Bechtel was just nowhere to be found on this restart. And we know that Smith got a great run on the outside, but that does not excuse how far back Randy Bechtel was here on this restart. I was right on board with him to see what happened. He just didn't get a jump.
Just asleep at the switch is what it appeared to be. But he's going to have to get the restart of his career right now, as Jordan Smith going to have the button when we do go back to green. Looks like we are going to go back. Lights are still on the pace car. So we're going to be inside 25 to go. And the freshest tires on the track are going to be 4 tires are going to go to Jeff Price in the 14, who we've seen be strong on fresh tires. Ryan Jones took 2.
And looking back at that restart with Bechtel, I would know, because I've done it more times than I care to admit, with how slow he was on that jump. That looked to me like a guy who was possibly in the wrong gear on that restart. And I know if you go back to the one of the late race restarts in the Rowdy Energy Cup Series All-Star race, I restarted the car in 5th gear and fell like a stone. Randy Bechtel might have restarted in 3rd gear there, realized it quick enough, and was able to pick it back up into 2nd and get that car wound up again. But that's the only thing I can think of for a guy like Randy Bechtel, why he would have had such a horrible restart there.
That is the most understandable there, as it looks like Jordan Smith going to elect to take the inside lane. Going to put Bechtel to his outside. Chase Berry behind Bechtel, and Zach Calloway behind the race leader Jordan Smith. Now, we've seen Calloway get some pretty decent restarts as of late, and don't look now, but that's Evan Pienta restarting in the number 5 slot.
We've seen a lot of wild restarts here at Gateway. Who could forget? I forget what year it was. I believe it was the early 2010s. That restart, the set of restarts at the end of the truck race, where I think Matt Crafton took out both Ron Hornaday and Todd Bodine in successive restarts in turn 1 by making late dive bomb moves and then going on to win the race. So this place does create some drama here as far as late race restarts go. The 24 leads us down with 24 to go. Bechtel once again does not get a good restart. The 24 out to a 4/10 of a second lead, and Zach Calloway filling the void on the inside line as they head into turn number 1.
Calloway full send it mode to the inside of Bechtel for the number 2 slot. Side by side coming off of turn number 2. Calloway with a nose out front coming down the back straightaway. Bechtel doing everything he can to try to hang on the high side. Here comes Pienta to the inside of Chase Berry as well. Bechtel full send it mode.
Bechtel just does get in front of Zach Calloway, and Calloway doesn't get a lot of play up here at the front of these fields, but when he does, he's been very, very impressive as Pienta and Chase Berry still battling. And for Jordan Smith, he's going to want to see Pienta get through these guys as quickly as possible to try to hold up Randy Bechtel as the two teammates for Pienta Racing, as that was the 49 of Robert Dudley going sideways coming out of turn 2, I believe off of the 9.
He did bounce off the 9. The 9 got a little pickup coming off of 2 and just hip check with the 49.
Chase Berry still trying to hold off that 00 of Evan Pienta, but here comes Ryan Jones in the 7. Jones has not been in the lead since he gave it up trying to pit on lap 104. So Ryan Jones certainly looking, and especially with fresh tires, trying to get through this field as well as he can now as Chase Berry looks to the inside of Zach Calloway.
Calloway under heavy pressure coming off of 4, almost gets into the safer barrier as Pienta looks to the inside of Berry going into 1, side by side, full send it mode. And here comes the 7 of Jones on the high side, trying to let it hang out as a little bit of drifting for the 1 of Chase Berry coming off of 2.
Jones really sent that truck on the outside line, trying to hold, trying to fill that gap that was voided by the 00. There is some progressive banking at play in turns 1 and 2 as now Ryan Jones gets under Evan Pienta, and he will make the pass, or at least mostly complete the pass coming out of turn 4, going into turn 1. He almost completed it. Ryan Jones gets sent sky high off of the safer barrier in turn 1. Caution is out.
Jones just caught more airtime than I've ever seen a skateboard. And it looked like he tried to go up into Pienta to, say, hey, the spot's mine. And Pienta was not giving way. And he didn't have to because he was there.
No, he absolutely did not.
Wow.
Take a look at this one more time. Pienta, again, he's not quite clear. Jones swings up, maybe thinking he was clear. And boy, he caught the end of that safer barrier and went
Cleared
for a
fence.
ride.
Cleared the fence, almost home run.
Did we dare go on board? Yeah, we dare go on board. Let's go on board with the 7.
Vomit Cam. Sorry.
Let's go on board with the 7. We'll take a look from inside. Just does, and
Boom
you
goes
said a couple of
Dynamite.
weeks ago, Skyground Nurse.
Yeah. Well, Doc, the last thing I remember was Skyground, pretty nervous.
So
wow, what a hit.
So the man who had dominated so much of this race here tonight, now sitting on pit road with a mangled up machine. That number 7 of Ryan Jones, again coming off the suspension from last week. Had such a good run going. And really, ever since he lost the lead on that pit stop, just has not had it ever since.
Apparently karma not playing well with Ryan Jones right now.
Chandler Summers also having an incident, as we'll see. There's the 52 of Justin Winters getting one of his laps back. Chandler Summers also here at some point has had an incident. And I don't think the iRacing cameras are going to play nice, but Chandler Summers pulls over and stops coming out of turn 2. So that right there is what happened with Chandler Summers, whose season has gone right downhill after winning the season opener at Daytona. So Jordan Smith will look to try to do it again. Getting another great restart. Randy Bechtel to his outside or inside, for that matter. Zach Callaway and Chase Barry in row number 2 with Evan Pienta and Jeff Price in row number 3. Now, Jeff Price is notable because Price is the first of the cars that came into pit back on lap 133, where everybody else came in either on lap 100 or after the caution on lap 106. So there is a plethora of strategy options here up at the front, and Price right now has the freshest tires. Stephen Holmes also on that same set from 133. Jeff Pogo in the same scenario as well. As we are going to have, I believe, 15 laps to go when we take the green flag here.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're Jordan Smith, you're going to be trying to figure out which line do I need to put Randy Bechtel in to keep him behind me. Now the thing is, you've got a very strong Chase Berry there. You've got a very strong Zach Callaway there. So the biggest thing is, where is my teammate going to be restarting? And that, of course, is the 00 of Evan Pienta, the 2 United States Air Force trucks on the same team. So it looks like Pienta. So Smith is going to pick up the inside line to try to help his teammate try to get that inside line going, as Zach Callaway has been real strong on these restarts. So that's going to give Pienta the best shot to try to get by the one of Chase Berry.
Absolutely, and it'll give Zach Callaway the best view of when that number 24 will go. Randy Bechtel has had a couple of incredibly poor restarts the last couple of times we've tried to get this race going again under green. And now with 15 laps to go, Randy Bechtel, we would expect another caution, but Bechtel really cannot afford a bad restart here coming to 15 to go.
Absolutely not, but the thing is, he's got to time Jordan Smith just right. And Smith, he's changed up his restarts just enough to keep Bechtel guessing as to when he's going to go. So Zach Callaway and Evan Pienta right now with the best shot to try to make something happen on that inside line, as the pace car makes the hard left turn, and Smith wastes absolutely no time, pulls the trigger, and we are back underway as here comes Callaway to the inside of Bechtel.
That was a move that Jordan Smith is hoping wins him the race right there, as Callaway does not get the best restart, not able to pressure that number 51 to try to help that 24 out. Instead, Chase Barry is going to get around him on the outside. Evan Pienta in the 00 has fallen back behind Jeff Price and is about to lose another spot to the 4 of Jeff Pogo if he's not careful. Price on those freshest tires, really trying to make them work. Jordan Smith out to a half a second lead.
Pienta and Pogo still side by side for the last spot in the top 5, as Pogo full send it mode on the fresher tires, and Pienta did not get the restart he needed, as he's having trouble right now. Doesn't look like he's comfortable in that 80, as here comes the 9 of Stephen Holmes to his inside.
All the guys that are getting around him right now all came into pit on lap 133, except for Chris Smith. Smith came in on lap 107, but all of these guys around him right now came in under the caution on lap 133, as Jeff Price looking to try to break that draft a little bit, as Jeff Pogo swings and gets around Zach Callaway, who was incredibly slow down that front straightaway, might have caught the wall coming out of turn 4, as Pogo moves up into the 5th position, the highest he's been all night.
Yeah, there's no might have about it. He pancaked the right side of that number 55, as here goes Holmes to the inside of Pienta, looking to get a 2 for his Callaway, really off the pace right now. It looks like he might have messed up the handling, maybe bent the track bar coming off of 4 with as hard as he pounded the wall. There goes Holmes into the number 7 slot, and here comes Dill to the inside of Pienta.
Just riding on board with Daniel Dill in close quarter racing there between the 11 and the 00. And what you just saw the 9 do to the 55, that is exactly what the 7 was trying to do to the 00, try to swing and take that racing line going into turn 1. Unfortunately, the 7 miscalculated that, as here comes the 11 of Daniel Dill trying to get around Zach Calloway now in the 55.
Dill with a great run off of 4. Calloway with a strong run as well. Drag race to the stripe. Give the nose out front to Dill. Again, that is your battle for 8. Evan Pienta right there as well, trying to get the momentum wound back up as he gets by the 55. The 55 is Zach Calloway, definitely hemorrhaging spots right now as he's got a lot of damage on the right side of that truck. Meanwhile, up front, Jordan Smith, 2 truck length lead over Randy Bechtel. And here comes the 14 of Price to the outside of Chase Berry.
Plenty of time to try to bring it up here. This is one of the major characteristics of this race. You're noticing that outside line has been working a lot in turns 1 and 2 to help these drivers, 1, either make a move, or 2, try to defend from 1. There is some progressive banking up there in turns 1 and 2 here at this racetrack, and it looked as though that one hurt Jordan Smith a little bit, as coming to 9 laps to go, Bechtel now very much within striking distance of that number 24, trying not to have a repeat of what happened last week.
2 truck lengths back to Bechtel from Smith, as Smith overcooked it going into 1 that last lap. Bechtel, though, not really able to capitalize, able to go a little bit harder into turn 1. Smith able to get it collected back up there, but Bechtel winds it in, and we're back under caution.
Yep.
Calloway.
Yep, the 55 of Zach Calloway, also Brandon Ayers in the 16 around on the front straightaway. And this might have been just what the doctor ordered for the 24. Ooh. It's these two bolt.
16 pounds the wall. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there were a couple hard hits.
Norton.
Yeah, the 85 of Lee Norton with a hard hit. Cody Levitt caught a piece of it as well. We'll take a look at this. From on board, the 16 of Ayers hits the wall. The 55 comes up. And that's the hit from the 85 of Lee Norton. So as we said, that might have been exactly what the 24 needed. Was a chance to get out ahead on a restart and really try to open this gap to the 51 up, because it's starting to look like deja vu all over again from last week. Jordan Smith had a great race car. Randy Bechtel was able to save the tires a little bit more, and at the end of the race, the 51 was able to get around the 24 and take the race win. 1 and 2 are the same 2 characters. They've casted a different member in the 3rd position this week, but still it's almost playing out the same way it did last week.
Well, if you're Jeff Price right now, you got to be licking your chops, knowing that you've got the freshest tires in the top 4. You got Jeff Pogo there in the top 5 as well. Again, only 20 laps on their tires, and a handful of those have been under caution. But oldest tires on track right now go to Jordan Smith in the 24. And we are going to be restarting inside 5 to go. So it's going to be a real uphill battle for Bechtel, Berry, Price, and Pogo if they want to get around that United States Air Force number 24 of Jordan Smith tonight.
I will say I agree with you that this is the chance that Jeff Price needed. However, he's going to be restarting behind Randy Bechtel, who has had some of the worst restarts over the last about 4 or 5 restarts that we've seen all season. So while, yes, I have the freshest tires, I'm also sitting behind a guy who has not proven to be able to restart and be consistent with it, and gets wound up about a lap or so after, and by then I could be a second and a half behind.
It all depends on what type of restart Bechtel gets this time. the thing is hopefully he's had enough restarts next to Jordan Smith to know when Smith is going to go. And the last couple of times, as soon as that pace car has cleared the racing surface, Smith has jumped on the loud pedal and said bye-bye. So hopefully Bechtel is anticipating that this time, and Smith doesn't throw him a dummy and check the field up, because if Bechtel has to check up, he's going to get run over.
Now the 24 can, as you said, dummy this restart here, meaning not go. The only rule as far as the restarts go, other than you can't switch lanes prior to the start-finish line and you can't pass on the inside prior to the start-finish line, you cannot start and then stop again.
Right.
So Smith cannot go and start and act as though he's going to start this race up again and then jump on the brakes to try to catch Bechtel out and then go after Bechtel hits the brakes. So he has to maintain a restart. It's just the timing of when he decides to go is what he can vary, and he's done a very good job of that over these last couple of restarts, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he did it again here.
But there is something he can do, and that's step on the clutch and step on the gas at the same time. Make Bechtel think he's going. Bechtel will start to go, have to jump on the binders, and then he goes.
And it's about as cheeky as it gets, but you do have to worry about the guys behind you, because a lot of the guys go off of engine noise. And if that one hears that engine rev up, but that 24 doesn't go, then Smith could be getting spun around by the one while trying to mess with the 51.
It's a game of Russian roulette at this point, as we are currently 5 to go. And Smith has the button as they work their way through the 3-4 complex pace car, getting ready to make that hard left turn. Keep your eye on the 51, folks. This is the restart he's going to need, as Smith holds him down, finally pulls the trigger when he can get it pointed straight.
Did not get as good a restart this time, as Bechtel a lot closer here than he was before. Still gets him cleared as they go into turn 1 with 4 laps to go. That 24 did not mess with his restart, and that's what might hurt him, is the 14 of Price hard into the outside wall in turn 2, forcing the drivers behind him to scatter.
Pancakes the right side of the 14. We stay green as everybody scatters behind him. Bogo was able to get by him. Stephen Holmes now able to get by Price as they work their way down the front straightaway. Meanwhile, top 3, Jordan Smith, Randy Bechtel, Chase Berry with a 5-car length lead over that battle for 4th with Smith and Holmes.
Larry Poling has had a couple of off tracks in the 69. We stay green with 2.5 laps to go, and a lot of close racing here behind the top 3. Jeff Pogo right now, the highest driver up in the field of the guys that came into pit on lap 133. Stephen Holmes battling there as well, trying to get into the top 5. Here comes Evan Pienta, who came in on lap 153.
Popsicle sticks in the air. 2 more laps to go for Jordan Smith, as he's got a 3-truck length lead over Randy Bechtel. Bechtel getting his rearview mirrors filled with Chase Berry right now. Those guys are 5-6 truck lengths to the good.
Oh, around goes
contact.
What a save by Stephen Holmes as he heads through the grass down the back straightaway. Somehow keeps that number 9 straight. What a save by him. The 00 of Pienta also had a moment there going through turns 1 and 2. Jeff Price trying to make his way up through the field, trying to get past Eric Holly. Daniel Dill looking to make it 3 wide, thinks better of it as we head on to the final lap. Jordan Smith right now holding a 0.3 of a second lead. Great pit strategy that got him the race lead. Came into pit, had an untimely caution, but still cycled out to the front. Bechtel tries one last lunge going into turn 3, but it is not going to work. The 24 of Jordan Smith comes out of turn number 4. He will win here at Gateway.
Smith coming home with the victory. Bechtel hanging on for second. Berry Coming home in third, Jeff Pogo, Chris Smith, Eric Holly, Dan Dill, Evan Pienta rebounding for 8th, Cody Levitt and Jeff Price rounding out your top 10.
It seemed like deja vu all over again between the 24 and the 51. There's a little bit of contact.
Love you, buddy.
Between the two teammates, the 00 and the 24. There's Jordan Smith.
Those guys are teammates, ladies and gentlemen. You're just congratulations, buddy. Good run.
Right
that's what that was. That wasn't anything vicious or a receipt for anybody. That was those guys having a good time.
And for the 24, if I remember correctly, that is his first win of the season. 5 unique winners in the first 5 races this season, and that goes right along with what we saw last year. We had 9 different winners in the first 10 races last season here. So this is right on par with last season. We said the hype was real for this series, and it has lived up to every bit of it this year.
Absolutely. Great finishes, great racing through the first 5 races of the season. This is quickly becoming one of the premier series that we have here on the ESPN family of broadcasts. And like you said, Frank, 5 different winners, 5 different races, 5 different tracks, and just pit strategy playing off to perfection for Jordan Smith tonight.
It has been quite the night here at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. And man, I'm ready to go again. Honestly, I can't wait for next week. I want next week to come now. I forget where we're going next week, which is very bad for me to say.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
But coming up, we go to Vegas next week. That's going to be.
Oh wow!
That's going to be another worldly race next week.
Place your bets.
So we'll start the interview process here. Jordan Smith is with Tony Trapasso right now.
Jordan Smith, pit strategy played to perfection. Cautions falling exactly when you needed them to make sure that the guys stayed behind you. Talk us through that final restart when Randy Bechtel got to your outside coming off of 4.
Man, it was hectic. I was so stressed the last 30 laps when the cautions kept coming out. I didn't know how much those tires that those guys got would really help them. I knew it was hard to pass the whole night, so I wasn't going to go in and get tires, but I just kept trying to change my restart every time so that Randy or whoever was outside of me couldn't really guess. I tried to do a good job at that so I can get about a 0.3 of a lead going into 1. But no, Randy gave me a run for my money like he always does every week. He's one of the best in the league, and definitely a challenge trying to beat him.
Well, you're quickly showing that you're one of the best in the league. Is again, second week in a row that you're on the podium. Talk us through how bad the tire wear was leading into that 25 to 30 lap window where they started to equalize.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. You had to really manage them the first 5 to 10 laps, and then you just kept losing time. You had to shift in 1 and 2. I didn't shift in 3 and 4 the whole night just because the car was too unsettled, but you really had to shift in 1 and 2 and watch your throttle so you wouldn't spin the tires and over rotate off of 2. But it was pretty difficult. The tires wore about 2 seconds from the beginning of the run to the end of the run, so it was pretty hard.
Well, you were talking about trying to conserve your tires for the first 5 laps, but I would like to point out that on your first full flyer, after the last time you took tires, you set quick lap of the event with a 34.4 flat. So it's safe to Air Force Chevy Silverado was hooked up on fresh tires.
Yeah, I feel like that's all. As my Achilles heel is, I'm just overdoing it on the start of the run. But I felt that the 34.4 wasn't terribly abusing it, but obviously it worked out in the end. Probably could have saved a little bit more because I know Randy had a lot better tires behind me, but all in all, it worked out, which I'm happy about.
Well, the series moves from Gateway to Las Vegas next week. Your thoughts going to the mile and a half D-shaped demon in the desert?
That is between Vegas and Dover. Those are my two favorite tracks, so I'm pretty pumped for next week.
All right, Jordan, is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
I got to thank y'all for putting on a great broadcast every week. Got to thank my teammate Evan Pienta. He painted this awesome looking 24 Air Force Chevrolet and gave me great tips and advice throughout the entire night. So really got to thank him.
All right, Jordan, congratulations on your first victory of the season. Looking forward to good luck next week in Vegas.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
All right, so that was your race winner, Jordan Smith. There, I believe my my sim crashed, unfortunately, which is why the screen has gone black. Perfect time for it to happen too, as we'll bring in Randy Bechtel now for a second place results here tonight. Randy, you were very, very close to back-to-back victories. Unfortunately, the restarts that you had on tonight just were not up to par.
There was no way to predict Jordan's restart. One time it's super early, one time it was late. It's just all over the place. I know under caution I was messing around with first gear for restart because I thought he might have been starting that to get the good one, but that definitely wasn't the way to go. But at least the last one I got a better restart. It was a little closer. Those cautions kind of screwed me a bit because with that last caution there, I was getting ready to set him up and there was a caution and I was like, dang. Then over from there, needed a couple laps.
How much did how much were you needing that caution that came out on lap 100 with the 7 and the 25? Were you needing that caution in order to try to get back up with it, or did you think if the race played out to where it stayed green the entire way, that you'd be able to get a pretty good run and get back up to the guys that were on what could have been the race-winning strategy?
I think it would have been close, and I know we were all planning to start pitting there, and I guess that's what caused the caution. I have to go back and look see exactly what happened, but I was good. I was going to be ready to come back around and pit the next lap, and the caution came out, so I was like, okay, that saved me a little bit. But yeah, I think those guys would have been really close with the off strategy from us, but I think it would have been good for them. But I think we finished ahead of everyone that had that strategy, except Jordan there. But
You did tonight, and next week we head to another mile and a half speedway, getting back on the bigger D-shaped ovals at Las Vegas. What are your thoughts going into Vegas next week?
I'm not the biggest fan of Vegas. Oh, I'm not generally the biggest fan of the mile and a half either, but I do my best at them. At least I try to. Hopefully some long green flag runs. And we'll save the tires like usual and go from there.
All right, anybody you want to thank before we let you go here tonight?
Oh, I want to thank my spotter, or our team captain, Justin Wilson, who was spotting for us. I feel like Ryan. Thanks for Ryan. I don't know what happened the last caution. I heard he was upside down or something, but he had a pretty quick truck all night. Of course, my teammate Chase, I'm pretty sure this is his best run in a while here, and he gets to have his first interview. I think he's pretty excited to talk to you guys. So, you guys for putting on the broadcast, and Eric and Poga for putting on the league.
All right, there's your second place finisher here tonight, Randy Bechtel. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
And so that was your second place finisher, Randy Bechtel, here this evening. We will now go to our third place finisher, Chase Barry. Tony's with him.
Chase Barry, first time on the podium this season. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So, talk us through that final restart as you had your hands absolutely full with Jeff Pogo.
Yeah. Oh, they all had new tires, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna stay out. Like right before that restart, whatever. They all pitted and stuff. So I got tires, or they got tires, and I didn't get tires. So I was just holding on for dear life. And then luckily, I guess one of the cars, Price or somebody, hit the wall and broke a gap. I was like, thank God. But yeah, it was wild trying to hold all of them off because if I could hold them off, then the fresh tires couldn't get Randy if he needed to have a chance to set up Jordan to pass him. So I was kind of being nice, but yet trying to win too. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking right now.
Hey, understandably, your first podium of the season, you had a great run all night. How bad was the tire wear in that long green flag run?
Honestly, it wasn't bad. Well, like I know when me, Randy, and us practiced throughout the week, like I actually was able to save tires better than Randy, better than Ryan, better than all the other guys. Like I had better tire wear, so when that long run, I was able to like stay with the guys who even had because I think there was a lot of guys that came in and got fresh tires. Yeah, they got by me early, but I was able to still run with them after the tires set off because I didn't burn myself up. I was actually doing a really good job saving tires that whole run.
We go from one tire management track to another one next week as we go to Las Vegas. Your thoughts going to the 1.5 miles in the desert?
I think it's gonna be wide open. I was playing. I don't know. I'm not. Vegas isn't on my big list of favorites. It's just I don't think it is, but it's just I don't know. It doesn't fit me. So we'll see what we got. I might be able to save a little tire. Maybe shoot for a top 10. Just do better than what I've been doing, but just shoot for a top 10, top 5 right there, and I think we'll be okay.
Well, Chase, before we let you go celebrate with your team on the podium, is there anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, Randy for, helping me out all year too. Justin for telling me to pit and then the caution come out and put me in the way back. So I gotta drive like a butthole to get to the front. But thank him too for, helping me run this. Yeah, KB's Auto Shop. Brandon Ayers, Chandler Summers. I don't know what happened to Johnny Rapp. He wasn't here tonight. But yeah, and Ryan for causing that caution. He's part of our team, I guess. So for him causing that caution to make me drive like a butthole. So yeah, woo!
Chase, again, congratulations on your first podium of the season. Looking forward to seeing you next week in Vegas. Have a safe Independence Day, sir.
Heck yeah, I'm gonna go gamble.
So there's Chase Barry with his entry for interview of the year with us right now. Has a great race, and again, going back to Las Vegas last year in the Cup cars, they had a caution in turn 3 on lap 1. Beyond that, that was it. The race went green the rest of the way. A race that Troy Torgerson won pretty handily on tire strategy last year. So these guys know how to get around Vegas. You are going to have to be well and truly prepared to be able to save your tires next week.
Absolutely, and if you take a look at most of the guys in this league, they're gonna put in the laps. They release the setup well in advance, what the weather's supposed to be like, or give them a proximity of what the weather's supposed to be like. These guys put in work when they're not being broadcast for a race. So definitely look for the cream to rise to the top next week. Like you heard Barry say that during practice, he's been working on saving his equipment, and it's been showing. Get him on the same team with Randy Bechtel like he is right now, and the two of them seem to be of like mindsets where let's save our equipment till the end. 10 laps to go. We're really going to turn and burn. Hopefully we have ourselves in a position where we can make it happen from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in a position now to where we're going to start wrapping up here this evening. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to put the results on the screen because of my sim crash, but we certainly can bring them to you as Jordan Smith takes the race win. Randy Bechtel and Chase Barry make up the podium positions. Jeff Pogo, Chris Smith round out the top 5. Eric Holly gets a top 10 finish here tonight, finishing in 6th. Daniel Dill 7th. Evan Pienta recovers for 8th. Jeff Price 9th. And Cody Levitt comes home in the 10th position. Robert Dudley follows his 4th place finish at Homestead last week up with an 11th place finish here tonight. Anthony Reynolds, we saw him go around rather late in this race, comes home and recovers to finish in the 12th position. Stephen Holmes, we saw the issue he had on the second to last lap, comes home 13th. Dale Elan Jr. and Brandon Ayers round out the top 15.
Tommy Cannon coming home in 16th. 17th sees Justin Winters, Lee Norton in 18th. Zach Calloway 19th. Larry Poland and Scott Tompkins rounding out your top 20. Chandler Summers coming home in 22nd. Ryan Jones 23rd. 24th gets scored to Nick Lamb. Jared Hagedorn in 25th. Ellis Thomas in 26th. Scott Stotler in 27th. And rounding out the field, Dustin Lamb in 28th.
So that will do it for us here tonight from Worldwide Tech Raceway. Coming up, nothing tomorrow with the season finale for Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series happening last week. We have to wait until Saturday morning for the E-Formula 3.5 Series. That will be a 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time start from the Red Bull Ring, the first time that series will head there. Coming up on Monday, the 5th of July, will be the Rowdy Energy Cup Series. They will be at Road America, starting at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Tony and Sam should be in the booth for that. The MX5 Pro Series will head to Mid-Ohio for the next round of their season, a 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time start there. And the Western States Racing League begins season 45 coming up here at Kentucky at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time with Ryan Williams and Ben Bruno in the booth for that season opener. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening and sticking with us through the litany of technical issues that we have had here tonight. We'll certainly have it cleaned up for next week. But until then, we will see you Saturday afternoon for the E-Formula 3.5 Series at Red Bull Ring, and we will see you right here next week for the USRA Truck Series at Las Vegas. Have a fantastic evening, everybody.